There are many ways to break behavior cycles in psychology. Attitudes, the way we approach certain stimuli, can be learned easily from our peers or from personal history, but breaking those sociological interactions that are so easily learned can be quite difficult. Of course, I'm talking about toxicity. Dota is inherently a breeding ground for toxicity. The reason why, in short, I believe is due to perceived time investment. The entire process of a game of Dota, searching for a game, the picking phase, the gameplay, can usually end up taking an hour or more. An hour out of only 16 waking hours in a day. That time is, or should be, precious to any functioning human being. But it's not just the investment of the game, it's the investment of the time to get there. The thousands of hours, perhaps even tens of thousands of hours of grinding Dota 2 to reach a level of competency and proficiency. Dota is one of the most complicated and high-skill ceiling games out there, but it is still a team game. A game that requires you to play with 4 other people who you have no idea how much time they've invested or how much that game matters in relation to you. The question in a player's brain naturally arises every game. Did my teammate invest as much of their precious time on Earth as I did into this? Do my teammates value the hour I am spending, or are they here simply to waste it? Have they put in the same thousands of hours as me? Are we equals, or did they simply make it into my game by mistake? One of the greatest causes for conflict, if not the greatest cause in human history, is lack of communication. It is no surprise that as our ability as humans to communicate was made easier and easier, we have seen a steady decline in real-world warfare. War, conflict, these typically come from the simple question that is left unanswered. What is my opponent thinking? What are their intentions? Why do they do what they do? Naturally, when there is no answer for these questions, the human mind will go into preservation mode. We are defensive creatures. They want to hurt me. They want to wrong me. And I need to proactively prevent that attack. However, this natural paranoia that keeps us alive can be destroyed very simply by just talking to the perceived enemy. In this day and age of instant communication via the internet and by phone, we have seen a decline in war for that simple reason. Yet the war zone of emotion in Dota 2 continues to rage on. Why? Perceived time and lack of communication. Learned negative behavior. People are inherently good. We're social creatures. Our behavior is learned from our histories, from dark and terrible experiences, which shield them from pain in the future. You join a ranked game of Dota 2. A player selects mid, he says nothing. He responds to no attempts to roll. He takes no hero suggestions. He simply goes. He goes mid. He loses horribly. His microphone is screeching music in a language you don't understand but can't even identify as he ruins your game. We've all been there. And the rage from you in your mind is completely justifiable. After all, perhaps ruining this game was his intention. Perhaps he did it on purpose because he doesn't care. He doesn't care about you, the hundreds of thousands of hours you put in to get here. He doesn't respect your time. He is the enemy. In truth, yeah, sometimes people are evil. Sometimes there are players that actually just go run down mid, feed couriers, and ruin the games. But most of the time, no. Maybe he needed ganks. Maybe the enemy had vision. Maybe he didn't try to throw, but he couldn't explain himself. Perhaps his microphone was broken. Perhaps he didn't speak your language. You will assume the worst. You develop prejudice against people like him in similar situations, instantly thinking of him when you see another person playing his hero, speaking his language, or going to his lane, and you ready yourself for that negativity. Perhaps your life gets worse, his life is bad, and perhaps he goes to low priority. Currently, the Dota 2 low priority punishment pool is simple. You must win X games of single draft. What does this accomplish? It's an inconvenience, but that's not a punishment. Punishments are meant to curb behavior, with a goal in order to change that behavior. Low priority is much like the US prison system. We send toxic, vile creatures to a clubhouse to play with other toxic, vile creatures. Some people there are good people. They're there by circumstance or accidents, and they leave quickly and are appalled by what they saw. Some vile people still leave vile, learning nothing but simply losing time, maybe even picking up a few tricks from other evil people. Others, they never leave. They spread their evil to others who are trapped with them for their short times, teaching hate and pain to any and all that they can touch in their prison so that they can spread their pain further. You change nothing with the current low-priority system. But what does change behavior? Well, two of the most simple methods are positive and negative reinforcement. Let us begin with positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is rewarding a subject for displaying a desired behavior, a treat for your dog after doing a trick. Then, how can we apply positive reinforcement to toxic Dota players? Well, we must get them to perform a desired behavior. Welcome to the Angel Queen. The Angel Queen is a match finder for people with X commends and X behavior score. You are invited to become an angel if you have played for X hours and meet the above requirements. If you accept, a new match finder will appear where you can find low priority games. Low priority's map is changed. It becomes a dark, hellish landscape where only fire and death call home, a background to reflect the sins of its residents, a hell map. There, the low-pro players toil in their hellscape, but certain players have halos above their heads. They are shining beacons in this land of fire. They are the angel players. When you find a game as an angel, you are paired with a low-priority player. You and the player have a direct line of communication, much like the current group voice chat. You and the player have the same goal. You want to win the game. Get that player out of low priority. However, it is your job to show them how. You will play the games with them, you will communicate with them, you will show them a happy, healthy Dota 2 relationship and what it takes to actually win games. The low priority player has the option to kick you as his angel at any time, which removes your private communication and pings and coach tools and all the like. However, the low priority player must win an X amount of games with a certain angel, and then he must pass the review. The angel at the end of their games has a pop-up which allows them to release the low priority player back into society. If the angel releases the tormented soul, they will have completed their job. They receive Dota Plus shards, but more importantly, they may receive a pop-up notification later, much like when you report players and it tells you that they went to low pro, which will display when your pupil has been commended. At the end of your journey together, you have the option to add each other as friends, so that relationship can last a lifetime. As for the low priority player, after finishing their games with their angel, they too get a review. They are able to choose how many Dota Plus shards their angel receives for helping them out of low priority. Their impact on this is determined by how many angels they have cycled through, of course. After winning their games and escaping low pro, they are free to live their lives once again, hopefully for the better. Angel players will receive ranks based on how many people they have freed from low priority, and those ranks will increase by those people not returning to low priority afterwards. After huge amounts of Angel MMR, they can reach the Deacon rank, which allows them to strong report the most toxic and vile creatures they encounter. These players will be directly reviewed and have a more intense review system in place by Valve. This can lead to severe punishments, such as the current 6-month ban. Now, Angel players are also held to a high standard, as they are subject to the same review process that they give. Upon exit interview by the low priority players, the low pro player can choose the Angel shards, but they also leave a review themselves for the Angel. If the Angel receives poor reviews, then they themselves are strong reported and up for review. If they're found to be toxic or feeders or anything of the like, they are stripped of their rank and they find themselves cast down into low priority. If they lose rank too many times, they are no longer allowed to be an angel ever again. However, losing rank would need sufficient evidence, like chat logs or game of evidence of feeding or throwing excessive reports from different low pro players, to make sure that the angels are not simply attacked by people that we know are toxic. In the end, what does this system really do? Well, it creates a pretty fun game. Angel players are rewarded for their time both monetarily and shards, but also in life, as they get to make new friends and receive positive updates about the people that they've helped in the past. More importantly, for the convict, it makes it so that low pro isn't prison. It's therapy. They can be around someone that wins games positively in a correct way by seeing a real role model. Sometimes people are toxic because they're mad, but sometimes it's really just because they're sad. They have stress, they need a friend, and life is hard for them. It forces them to interact with somebody that has proven themselves to be a friendly guy. Perhaps they can curb that toxicity and remind them that their enemies are humans too, that the other players are still people. Low pro players that have been given a good review by an angel and have not received low pro in several months can opt in to become trial agents, for they know what it takes to change their behavior more than anyone. That is a punishment that produces positive reinforcement, where both players are given rewards and directly change behavior. They're shown what behavior is desired. Now, let's talk about negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is what low priority is now. It is simply a punishment. You do a bad behavior, you get a bad punishment. However, it is a very poorly conceived negative reinforcement. It doesn't show a different behavior. There are no guidelines for how to change. That is why we give the player a negative punishment they can learn from. That is why we make them play Valve's hit card game, Artifact. When a player receives low priority, rather than being able to find a game of Dota, the button is replaced with Play Artifact. And upon pressing the button, the Artifact game launcher will open. It is there that the entirety of the game Artifact will open on the low pro player's PC. There they will start with the basic cards you're given when you first get the game, and they must win 3 Artifact games. With only the remaining Artifact players left, and with Valve announcing basically they're not going to do any more updates, the player will need to play against mono red or green blue ramp decks with only the shittiest cards available time and time again. Of course, this is the actual Artifact client. They can buy new cards, and the low pro for Dota 2 is literally just Artifact. Yes, if they hope to play Dota 2 again, they will most likely need to get decent cards so that they can win their Artifact games. If they don't have money, that's okay. They can grind gauntlets with Debbie for an eternity, hoping to unpack something better. Now, this has many benefits. For one, as history has shown, apparently nothing in this world is worse than forcing a Dota player to play Artifact. Truly, it is the worst punishment for the average Dota 2 player, if you believe the reviews, the numbers, and the subreddit. As for Artifact, suddenly life would be breathed back into the game. Low priority toxic fuckboys from Dota 2 will actually be more positive and caring when compared to the average digital card gamer. These wretched, detestable attitudes of Dota 2 low pro players ain't got shit on Artifact, let me tell ya. Artifact itself will start to have a community again, albeit a community of prisoners who are forced to play the game, but there is a small chance that those prisoners banished to their Artifact colony may actually form a thriving society, much like Australia. Finally, people may discover Artifact for what it truly was, a great card game with Dota 2 lore. All we have to do is literally force them to play it and prevent them from playing the game that they actually want to play. To leave Artifact and get to play Dota again, the low pro player must win 3 games and also answer a short lore quiz. So there you have it, 2 different methods to solve low priority and toxicity in Dota 2. Will we give the carrot to the players, showing them how to be positive and rewarding both the teachers and the students for good behavior? Or will we harshly punish these criminals with a fate so terrible and gruesome that they will fear the stick more so than they enjoy the rewards of their crimes? The choice is yours. As for me, I'm off to prepare the tortured souls of hundreds of new try-hard Artifact players with my beautiful decks. Thank you very much, and let's change low priority together.